week here right inside of the middle of May, and so hopefully you're taking some time, doing some nice things for yourself. I know we get busy, I know we get going, but I had that conversation yesterday. Got to take care of your health, got to be good to yourself, because if you don't do that, then eventually you can't do anything else, right? So make sure you take care of yourself and don't get yourself run down to the point where you're not healthy. So that's my morning PSA, is take time to take care of your health, sleep, eat right, drink some water, do something that puts you at peace. Go out and take a walk, or go to a movie, play with the dog, whatever it is that gets you to relax and reset and refocus, because we all need that. So make sure you're taking care of you today and being good to each other. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, I am so honored and happy to be here with you. I love that I get to unveil my t-shirt for the first time ever today. So LeMoyne D1, and very excited to discuss that with Bob Beretta in just a few minutes here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics for the day. We're going to start the broadcast off with AD&DT. It's Wednesday, which means it's Dolphin time, and so inside of Dolphin time, we have the opportunity to share with you the stories of the LeMoyne College Dolphins in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the school. And so AD and DT coming to you every first and third Wednesday of each month with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Today, we have a ton of stuff to speak on with Bob Beretta, and that will include sports they're looking to add, as well as fundraising and staffing, recruiting, scholarships, things that go on here as we talk about D1, the plan forward is what I'm calling it. So D1, the plan forward. They made the decision less than a week ago. We broke the story here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and through Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. And now, after making that decision, it's putting things together, it's scheduling, all of that. So we're going to get into it. You don't want to miss it. A lot of great news coming up for you. A lot of wonderful things to hear from Bob Beretta in this move here. And a very honest, heartfelt component to it, as always, because that's how Bob is, and I appreciate that so very much. There's a difference to Bob Beretta. There's a difference to LeMoyne College, and that is why I'm proud to be a part of everything that we're doing together, because we're looking to be the difference, the positive difference. So, AD and DT coming up momentarily, followed by the NFL schedule breakdown. Now, I did some of it yesterday, but we retweaked it, retooled it, and we're going to talk about the entire NFL today, from about 9:45 this morning all the way until the end of the show at 11 o'clock. I'll be breaking down who's on Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We'll also get into who's playing in the holiday games and what divisions are getting a lot of love in these primetime games, what teams are getting no love in the primetime games as well. So plenty to talk about, plenty to get to as we break down the NFL schedule the right way today, and we'll take a look at all of that. So excited to do that with you. And of course, wherever you are around the country and the world, thank you for tuning in on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back with AD and DT, LeMoyne College D1, the plan forward, with Bob Beretta right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacted the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome here to an all-new AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta of LeMoyne College, myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, and we are here with you. Not much is going on the Heights. It's been super quiet. So, no, all jokes aside, this is our first AD and DT coming off of everything that's happened. So, was able to get out there and break the story, talk about it, talk with you about it in your office, and to do a special AD and DT for that, and then to talk with Noreen Morris, the NEC commissioner, as well as Dr. Linda Lemura, and the chair of the Board of Trustees, Pete DeLaura. So everybody had a voice on that, as well as Mary Grimes for women's basketball. So tremendous event, a lot of stuff to get into. It's all on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com to make it easy for everybody. But Bob's mug's up there a couple times, including today. So how are you, sir?
I'm excellent, Dan. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yeah. So you look D1 official.
Yeah, we are. We're D1 official, right?
Yeah.
We're ready. We're ready for this. It's been an interesting few days for certain, and just got off our first NEC, AD, and SWA call. So I guess we're official.
Yeah, and to have this done. It's that feeling, right? So in the media, into the world, you announce it, everybody says yes, confetti, and then before that confetti hits the ground, you're working, right? And one of the biggest things is making sure that these teams moving forward at LeMoyne College have the schedule that they need. So let's start there. What are we doing schedule-wise to make sure that they're ready for the NEC?
Yeah, and it's really interesting time, Dan, because we're behind the 8 ball for our fall sports. If you think about it, our fall sports begin practice here in 2 months. Yeah. And now our athletes will come back earlier, in some cases, than they were scheduled to we were a member of the NE10 conference, different regulations around when they can come back. different financial components, and now trying to build a non-conference schedule from scratch for a lot of our coaches who had Division II non-conference schedule ready to roll, and now they've had to change that. Now, we talked to them, and we knew this was a possibility, and so I believe that our coaches were prepared well. They started to have some conversations with non-conference competition opponents, possible D1 opponents, for the past several weeks, but until we actually made an announcement and made that decision, that they couldn't move forward and execute that. But I think that's really been our short term since last week. We've been really focused on communicating with our current student athletes, communicating with our recruits, and then really trying to hunker down on the scheduling. And I've met with almost all of our head coaches on scheduling, philosophies, direction. Let's take a look at what makes sense. And I think we look at each one with a holistic view, and every game that we're talking about in the non-conference space is different because it brings a different set of variables and a different set of value to us.
What is the focus? I would imagine with all these schools in the state of New York that are Division I, there's, a group of them inside of the NEC, but outside of that, have you sat down with coaches in general and said, the Syracuse, the Niagara, the St. Bonaventure calls, the Binghamtons, the Colgates, the Cornells, has that been a topic of discussion?
It has been, Dan, and I've talked to coaches, and it depends on the sport, but how we kind of break down the schedules and look at the conference games, and then how many games they want to play overall, how many are left in the non-conference space. Do they want to play any non-Division I games because they're allowed to do that and permitted to do so? And if you want to play a non-Division I game or two, you extract that, and then you start to take a look at where strategically makes the most sense. Or we're going to look at some local schools that are within a day trip for us from a financial standpoint. Is there a really cool trip that we can take our kids on, our student athletes, and deliver that exceptional experience that we've talked about? And so we look at everything holistically. We take a look at what a trip can mean, where the value lies. Is it in competition? Is it in an experience? Is it somewhere that just makes a lot of sense from the geographical footprint? We begin new rivals with some of our Central New York and Western New York colleagues. So all those things make it for a very exciting time. And I think it's kind of exciting for our coaches because they have this blank tableau now, and they can look at it and they can really build from scratch, working with Mary Grimes and Nate Champion on their schedules. And I think when it comes time to release those schedules, they're going to be exciting. Our players are going to be really excited about it. Our fans are going to be really excited about it. I'm excited about just knowing kind of where we're headed right now. So all in all, I think it's added an awful lot of life around the building down here the last couple of days, that's for sure.
What can you tell us?
I can't tell you anything now because we don't have anything set, but I can tell you that we're talking about playing some elite brands in all sports. And I know that something we talked about, it's important who you play against. And just transitioning to Division I now opens up that whole new world for us. Not only our local geographic footprint, but some brand name opportunities. And some of them are in the ACC, and some of them are in the Big Ten, and some of them are in the Big East, and some of them are in the MAC, and we're talking about competitions against all those types of schools. And I think it's going to be really exciting for our players. I think that there was a faction of players that were nervous about this transition. And I think little by little, as they see what this really means and what this opens up to them from an experiential standpoint, it's pretty cool. And I think that they're really going to embrace it. I think they're going to represent this institution exceedingly well. And I think they're going to be extremely excited about it when they see a final product, just in the schedule alone. And then there's some other things that we're going to be able to do in terms of bulking up some staffs over the course of 3 years that are going to just lead to more development opportunities for them. So, yeah, great times here on the Heights.
How does it work when you're transitioning from D2 to D1 with the reality that in Division I in general, they were going to be able to add another staff member? So how does that all work? I mean, do you kind of just get grandfathered right into saying, you have X number on your staff, now you can have this? I mean, how is it going to work for you staffing-wise, like you said, that you can build up those staffs? And I know that Division I, in this reconfiguration of the NCAA, has taken a look at expanding staff.
Right, so one thing that we took a lot of time, and I credit my staff, in particular Tim Fenton, who worked very closely with me and built a lot of our modeling back in the fall. Yet we looked at where we could be realistically from a staffing component, from a budget standpoint, from a scholarship standpoint. And we want to kind of look and be, we said our standard right now was like the median of the MAC, right? I'm sorry, the median of the NEC. And we looked at the MAC as well at the time, because we didn't know if we might gain an invitation to the MAC or the NEC, but those were the two conferences we were focused on. So we did some modeling against those two schools, those two groups of schools, I should say, and where we would fall in terms of budgeting and all those things, whether it's scholarships, whether it's our recruiting budget, whether it's our staffing, our salaries, all those things. And we mapped it out over 3 years because we knew that this was going to take a strategic look at things and spread out the costs. And we looked at a 3-year period. So we have a model in place that shows where each program is going to be scholarship-wise, and if they need to increase a great deal or not much at all, but how we can sequence that. Sequencing was a big part of this, and that's what we're doing now. We're looking at sequencing our coaches, our staff, our salaries, and we looked at prioritizing certain areas where maybe we were a little more thin from a staffing standpoint, and so those are the kinds of things right now. Our scholarships, because we're through this recruiting cycle right now, for the most part, we didn't add a whole lot for this coming academic year, but then they'll be added. I think over the course of 3 years, we talked about adding in upwards of 30 scholarships across the board to get us to where we need to be in every sport to kind of be in the middle of the pack of the NEC.
So when you look at that, like you said, sequential work over a 3-year span, you mentioned so many different topics. Let's start with salary. How do you tackle that over the next 3 years?
Yeah, so quite frankly, and I haven't had a conversation with our coaches yet, but we looked at where the NEC model looks like, and we kind of took a look at what our colleagues and what our peers are and tried to be very similar to as we mentioned. And so we looked at what a final number would look like, and then we're going to spread it out over 3 years in each case to try to get, and in some cases, there's not a great deal of variance from where we are currently. And in some cases, there's some jumps, maybe not a large jump, but a large jump. And in some cases, there is an exponential jump in certain sports. So we have to look at how we can phase those in a way that is feasible for the school from a financial standpoint, and something that we feel really comfortable about for our individuals. And they feel good about our plan in place. So haven't had a chance to specifically sit with our coaches with each one. Going to do that next week. But we do have that sequential plan that includes salaries and scholarships and budgets and all of that.
And when you look at, like you said, scholarships, building that over time and what you need to do in that respect, as well as recruiting budget, where is that comparative to where you are right now when it comes to recruiting and it comes to scholarships? Mm-hmm. I know you talked about adding, maybe somewhere in the world of 30 scholarships across the board, but how much is this going to kind of hit monetarily for LeMoyne when it comes to scholarship money as well as recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, we've been very open about that. We estimated that the overall cost would increase to about $4 million of gross expenditure a year. Now there's significant revenue streams that are going to be available to us, and they're already available to us through some of the guarantee games that we're scheduling right now that weren't available at the Division II level to offset some of that cost. But we thought that we'd probably be in the $2 million range in net cost per year, and we were going to have to defray that against fundraising. We've said that from day one, that fundraising needed to be a big part of this, and we're going to be out on the road this summer and be very aggressive in that space. But we also, for this first year, the number is going to be significantly less than that, because a great deal of that number, that formula, is in the scholarship piece, candidly. And this year it's mitigated because we didn't add a lot of scholarships. We just added a couple because we were that far down the path in the recruiting cycle. But that number will bump up for the next year and the year after that as we try to take a look and, again, place ourselves in a spot where we're competitive with our NEC colleagues. And that's where we were with the NE10. We were competitive with our NE10 colleagues. It wasn't that we were at the bottom or at the top in all sports. There were some sports that we were at the top, some that we were at the bottom. And I would expect the same to be the case in the NEC. But we've tried to model a plan that looks pretty similar to where we were in the NE10 in terms of the scholarship. In some sports, we're not going to have to add a whole lot. We're already in the upper third of what the NEC offers. In some cases, we have some work to do. I'll give you a great example, and this is men's and women's basketball. The maximum allowed equivalencies in men's and women's basketball Division II is 10. We were at 10, and we will be at the maximum allowed number in Division I, but that grows. So on the women's side, it grows from 10 to 15. On the men's side, it grows from 10 to 13. So there's 8 of the scholarships that we're talking about right now that need to be, and we have to be at the maximum level by year 3 of the reclassification for membership in the NEC. So we have to phase those 8 scholarships as part of the other group as well over 3 years. And so we're looking at every sport individually. We're looking at see how they stack up, how that specific sport stacks up within the NEC. And we're going to be very competitive in those numbers. We're going to be very competitive in the scholarship numbers. We're going to be very competitive in the salary numbers. And we'll be very competitive in the staffing. If not, maybe in some sports we'll be more heavily staffed than some of our colleagues.
And staffing-wise, why do you feel like you're going to be so competitive? Do you feel that since this news has come through, on top of the success you've already had in connecting with the local community and the community around the country and the world, that LeMoyne's already done, do you feel like since that move to D1 has been made official, that you've had an influx of people wanting to come and work on staff?
I think you'd have to talk to each coach, and we haven't announced any new positions, and that will be forthcoming here within the next week or two, that we'll start to advertise for some new positions, both administratively and coaching-wise. But I think coaches have been fielding calls from people that are interested. I know that talking to some of our coaches today, they're receiving calls from people that help deliver players to programs that are now calling us and saying, I have a player for you, that before was saying, we don't have anybody for you, because that player wanted to play D1, and now we were out of the conversation, and now we're directly in the middle of the conversation. So I think that goes on from staffing perspective to recruiting as well. And I fielded some calls, right, from some people that I know in the industry that are now really interested in potentially coming to work at LeMoyne, because we're a Division I institution. So there's that great stigma of D1 that is an allure to people, to young people and to adults, and so it's something that can't be argued. It's a fact.
How do you stay LeMoyne despite the move to D1? Because you and I have talked about how people can lose themselves, right? You can lose your mission, you can lose your vision, you can lose the beauty of what a lot of people see in D2 and D3, which is still a love of the game, and not so much like the millions of dollars and these crazy balloon contracts and whatnot. So how does LeMoyne stay true to who they are? How do you stay true to who you are in D1?
I think it's a great responsibility for me as the athletic director, but also our staff here, and certainly our leadership, to make sure that sports stays aligned completely with a mission. I'm tremendously dedicated to that. I've said it since the day I arrived at LeMoyne, that athletics serves the institution. It's not the other way around, and that we won't lose sight of alignment, and that we're here to support the academic mission of the institution. That will never change, whether we were going to reclassify down to Division III or move to Division I. In fact, we're just putting the final touches on our strategic plan that we've worked on the past several weeks as a department, and that we have to submit to the NCAA. And we nested our strategic plan with a new strategic plan that was just developed and released publicly. I don't even know if it's been released publicly yet, the college's strategic plan. It's going to be titled Tomorrow Together, and our provost spearheaded that committee to put that strategic plan together, and we nested our strategic plan with Tomorrow Together. So if that's not complete alignment, nothing is. So it's incumbent on me as the athletic director and the person that oversees this department to make sure that we don't lose our way, and that we know our true north is the academic mission of this institution. The LeMoyne way really guides our character set, our value set here as a department, and we'll stay true to our mission.
Where people get confused in this move, and you and I have talked about this on and off the air, but the reality of the hiatus, right? The 2 years where, so you're inside of the NEC as of July 1st, 2023. You're competing with NEC teams, right, for everything except for men's lacrosse, which is independent this upcoming season. But so you're an NEC member, but you're not playing in the NEC postseason for 2 years, and you cannot go into the NCAA postseason for 4 years unless rules are changed. So you are a member, but there's this kind of like holding pattern, purgatory type of thing. How do you navigate through that? And are you in hopes that, because I spoke with Noreen Morris, the NEC commissioner, about this, because she was on a committee that was looking at this, are you in hopes that the NCAA will say, hey, if there's a 2-year hiatus at a conference, then the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament will match each other instead of the NCAA doubling the amount of time you have to wait?
There's no question. We would love for the NCAA to re-examine that policy, and I think that perhaps during the course of this 4-year reclassification period, there may be a reduction. But we also have to accept the terms in which we signed up for, and so we know as of right now there's a 4-year sit-out period. On the NEC side, we talked to Noreen about that during the process, and they're going to take a look at it. It's actually in the contract that they will take a look at that 2-year wait, the sit-out period for LeMoyne, and potentially reduce it. No guarantees, but they'll take a look at it and talk about it. They're going to do that in their presidential meetings here next month, a couple of weeks from now. And again, with no guarantees that they will reduce it. They did reduce it from 4 to 2 last year. It's 2 right now. We've asked for that to be completely eliminated. Will that happen? I don't know. We hopefully it'll be reduced even if it's by a year. But if not, we understand the terms in which we agree to, and if it's 2 years, it's 2 years, and we're going to do our best to deliver a championship experience to our student athletes on a daily basis, and we're working that already in terms of our scheduling, about who we're going to play, the venues, the trips, all those kinds of things. So it's incumbent on us to make sure that we deliver a championship experience regardless.
And is that how a very exciting non-conference kind of tour, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, Dan. You know, that and just the enhanced experience in terms of, you know, we're going to ramp up how our student athletes travel. They're going to see some benefits, whether it's the per diem, whether it's the hotel allotments that the teams get. I mean, all that's been factored into an increase here. Some of the trips that we're talking about, hopefully they're lifetime memories. You know, when you think about a national championship, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but very few athletes compete for national championships at the Division I level every year, year in, year out. It's really hard to do, to be an annual contender at any level, even in, you know, outside of the top 5 or 6 in football at the Division I level, they seem to just always be the same teams that are vying for a national championship. The other sports, there's great transition and turnover every year. So you won't find that dominance where every year we're competing for a national championship. Very few athletes do. And I think that we have to just redefine success. And I think that that's something I've been very open about, is that joining the Division I conference is going to put a premium on winning a conference championship. I think, candidly, this is something that bothers me at the Division II level, is that sometimes the conference championship is diminished because the eyes are set on that national tournament, because access is so great to the national tournament that if you win, sometimes student athletes don't celebrate it like I believe they should and value it, because they say, hey, the bigger prize is the national championship. In reality, at LeMoyne, there's been one team here that's competed for national championships year in, year out. Just one. It's been men's lacrosse. 17 of 21 seasons, they've been in the national semifinals. That team has competed for national championships year in, year out. That's not going to happen at Division I. It doesn't happen at Division I for the powers. It's just to be a contender for the national championship every year, it's difficult. Will we be a contender for our conference championship every year? Absolutely, I expect that. I expect us then to be able to be a contender for the AQ, to get into that conference and to potentially win a game or two every year. Absolutely. And you know what? You could catch lightning in a bottle. Cornell last year lost in the championship game. And this year they got knocked out in the first round, right? So, I mean, that's how it goes. But I think that in this transition, I will like to, that our athletes are going to value conference championships again, because I do believe that was diminished. And I also say this, there's kind of been a fallback that if you don't win the conference championship, oh, that's okay, because we got, we have a bigger prize. And I'm not against the bigger prize, but I think the conference championship has been devalued to a degree. And that struck me here this spring from several of our teams. And I'm really actually looking forward to seeing student athletes really get excited about conference championships again.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is it's such, like you said, national championship is such a hard thing to do once, let alone back-to-back or within the same decade. There's teams that you might see get in one year and then not even make the, not make the championship game. They don't even make the tournament. So, when you're a conference champion and you can consistently compete at that level, then you're going to, be a representative of that, and that's a banner. That's something to put up. And LeMoyne has been able to have so many of those that you hope, the move to the NEC, that there is a focus on conference championships and competing in that respect. It's tough to have, a holding pattern. I would love the NCAA to equal out the conferences, because it doesn't make sense to have a postseason for 2 that you have to wait and then 4. And so, we'll see. But you're an NEC team. You are a full member as of July 1st, 2023. I think people need to know that. It's not that you become a full member 2 years after because of the conference tournaments. You are a full member. It's just the rules that be. Before we go, you mentioned the $2 million number. Bring me into the mathematics and the economics of where we go from here.
Yeah, so again, we built out a plan, and initially we expected that number that we were going to spend this year to be much higher than what we're going to actually spend this year. So it's going to be much more cost effective for us this year to compete at the Division I level. I think that there are, again, revenue streams that will be available to LeMoyne once the reclassification period is over that's going to offset that number consistently in a large way. We talked about this from day one. Fundraising was going to need to ramp up here at LeMoyne, and it's something that we have a plan in place to go out there and talk to folks that have said for years that if LeMoyne were to reclassify Division I, that they would be all in to help support that move. So we're going to be trying to call in some of those promises here in the weeks and months ahead to support this initiative. But we understand that there was an added expense to going to Division I. We spent an awful lot of time talking about that as a committee, the Board of Trustees, and we're going to do our best to be very thrifty, to be great stewards of our resources. But there is an added investment, and we talk about most of it lies in scholarships and some of it in staffing, where we're ramping up. Prior to this year, prior to right now, as we speak right now, LeMoyne has 2 full-time assistant coaches. That's it in our athletic department. One on the men's basketball side and one on the women's basketball side. Every other assistant coach on our staff is a part-time coach. So that has to change. We knew that was going to change in a reclassification. At the end of a 3-year period, we're going to have full-time assistant coaches with every program. Yeah. Some will be instituted sooner than others. Yeah. Some might get 2 full-time assistant coaches during that period to match kind of what the NEC members are doing. So that's where I talk about the student-athlete experience, where maybe they don't see a direct impact to them on the surface, but if you peel a layer of the onions, layers of the onion back and see, hey, more coaches mean more development time for me. That's a direct impact. That's impacting the student-athlete experience maybe better than anything. As an athlete, you want to go to a place where you're going to get developed to the highest level of your potential. And that's when we look for coaches. That's in my mission statement. We're looking for a coach that's going to come in here and develop our student athletes so they achieve at the highest level of their potential. And you can't do that if you have one head coach and a part-time coach who's trying to manage a roster of 30 or 40 people. It's very difficult to do that. So this move is going to help us impact our student-athlete development in a way that we weren't able to do so beforehand.
You and I had talked in the past about the potential when you were in the NE10 in Division II to look at adding a sport or 2. Yes. Going into the NEC, is that still a thought?
It is a thought, and I know people asked us last week, are you thinking about eliminating sports, or will there be a trade-off if you add, you'll diminish? And we have no intention of of downsizing our athletic program. We are of a mind to increase. We're looking, and we've been pretty public about the sports that we're going to look at. First of all, we want to be a good partner to the NEC, so we want to take a look at where they could use additional members in terms of sports sponsorship. And I think two of the sports that make a lot of sense for us are women's bowling and men's volleyball. Part of that is because those aren't facilities that we would need to construct to be able to bring those sports in. Women's bowling, we would strike a partnership with a local house, and that's where we would bowl. And on men's volleyball side, we have our Ted Grant court, and that's where the men's volleyball team would play. So we're undergoing a study right now, looking at the event center. We need to expand, we need to grow our locker room space, we need to add locker rooms. It's all part of this, but those two sports are very appealing to us, and we find hockey to be exceedingly compelling. We really do. We feel like we're in a hotbed for hockey and lacrosse. Obviously, our lacrosse programs are flourishing here in central New York, and we feel like hockey would really thrive here on the Heights as well. So it's a matter of finding a facility, maybe an existing facility. It might be a facility that could be constructed, maybe not by LeMoyne. That's one thing that we're not looking at, because building an ice hockey facility is tremendously expensive. Sacred Heart just built one for $75 million. And we're not looking to build an ice rink here on campus, but there's some other opportunities maybe in the region where they're talking about possibly constructing a rink, or is there an existing facility where we could fit in? We'd love to add men's and women's ice hockey here. We have men's ice hockey a club team, and we wanted to add women's ice hockey last year. We didn't gain the traction. We're going to take another shot at trying to build a women's ice hockey club team this year as well. But I think that those four programs would be really natural fits for us here, and something we'll be taking a look at now. Now that the reclassification it won't be dominating our time, we'll be able to set out and explore some other new and really exciting initiatives for the college.
There's so many things to talk about, so many places to go, but from the day we started work together that I believe you should lead with your heart. So what about this experience for you after 34 years at a Division I institution in Army West Point, bringing a school from Division II to Division I? What has this experience done for your heart, and what are you thankful for?
Well, boy, I could stay all day and talk about what I'm thankful for. I'm so grateful to our president, Dr. Ramirez. I'm so grateful for Bob Reclassify, who chaired our ad hoc committee on athletics reclassification, and the former board chair who was in place when we started this process. Grateful to Pete DeLaura, the current board chair. They really shaped the mindset of so many people and bought into this vision. I'm grateful for Joe Grasso, our VP for Administration and Finance, because without his support, I don't think any of this would be possible. I'm thankful for our VP team, our entire senior leadership team that's on board, our ad hoc committee members, that we had some unbelievable conversations over the past 12 months, and some were supportive of this move and others weren't supportive initially, and the more we talked it through, we heard countering opinions, and we just had an unbelievable discernment process. And at the end of the day, when we voted in February or whenever it was this winter, it was a unanimous vote to move to Division I. So I'm so thankful for the minds on this campus that were open, our hearts were open to this. So those are just some of the things I'm grateful for. I could go on and on and on. And I'm really excited to talk about what I've felt in my heart. In my heart of hearts, I believe this is the right move for the institution. I believe it's a positive step in our strategic strategy for growth. From an admissions standpoint, from an engagement standpoint, I think this is going to raise the profile of LeMoyne exponentially. And I think that can only lead to more interest and more fundraising success and more applications, I hope. I hope that that's going to be the case. I think as we grow our rosters and our programs, that's going to lead to some more opportunities for young people to come and play at the Division I level. And then ultimately, I played at the Division I level. I worked my entire career at the Division I level before I got to LeMoyne, and I'm a firm believer in the Division I experience, and I just feel like our student athletes deserve that. And I know that some of them are a little anxious right now because in some cases they just don't know what they don't know. There's not a great difference between their demands on their time or their talent levels, but somehow along the way, I think some of them were stigmatized that they weren't worthy of a Division I experience, and they are. Our student athletes deserve the best. They deserve the opportunity to compete in elite venues. They deserve the opportunity to compete against elite talent. They deserve the opportunity to walk away from LeMoyne with lifetime memories through athletics, and we're going to be able to deliver that now in a way that we never could before at the Division II level. That's just a fact.
Syracuse, you have a Division I school right here in your backyard, and it is a beautiful thing to talk about the history that creates to have another school right here, the Dolphins. Green and gold, you need to get used to wearing it and used to seeing it. There are so many things coming up. My heart is happy because I have been, by your graciousness and Dr. Linda Lemura and Pete DeLaura and everybody, I've been a part of this the whole time. You've allowed me to be a part of it, and it's something that I may never get to do for the rest of my life, is be a part of reclassification and realignment. I thank you, and I thank everybody here at LeMoyne for just letting me not see this from the outside and let me see it from the inside, and the ups and downs and around the corners. I mean, my heart is full because you deserve it, and I know when I did rapid fire with Linda, she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Linda, there's no doubt in my mind from everything I know," and this was a while ago, I said, "there is nothing on this campus that is not D1 to me." I said, "This has been a D1 institution to the highest of merits for as long as I've known it." So, am I surprised? No. Am I excited? Absolutely. And am I honored? Tremendously. And you all gave that to me, so thank you.
Well, we can't thank you enough, Dan. I've said this over and over. We talk about who you play against matters. Well, who you partner with matters as well. And we made this decision 2 years ago, and it's been, it was spot on. It was the right decision to make, the partner with someone who shares our value set, who provides a platform, believes in our mission, believes in our student athletes, and no one's told the story of our student athletes better consistently than you have over this period of time. And I'm just thrilled to be able to take this journey with you. I hope that I will never be part of another athletics reclassification again in my career. It's really, you think about it, not a lot of people have an opportunity to be part of an athletics reclassification, a transition, and we're part of that together. And I know that you're going to continue to tell the stories of our wonderful student athletes, and whether it's D1, D2, D3, it's just a little bit different experiences for them. And yeah, I think that we're all going to go through this with our eyes wide open and our hearts full, and I think at the end of the day, I think our student athletes will be the beneficiaries of this move in so many ways.
Yeah, my heart's excited. It's that happy feel, right? When you know, like you're standing with your toes on the edge of that cliff, saying, "I could fly." So it's now time to do that. It's time to fly. It's time to swim. And as always, fins up.
Yeah, fins up, Dan. It is time to swim. Well put.
Appreciate it. We'll talk with you all soon.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicoli's.com. That's myaviccollis.com.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And I'm just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Want to thank Bob Beretta for everything that we always get to do inside of AD and DT. Of course, this morning in the conversation that we got to share with you about realignment and reclassification and the move forward here in Division One. So always appreciate Bob's time and appreciate him being so candid and so open with everything that's going on at LeMoyne. So love telling you, love being able to share that information with you, and I thank you so much for tuning into it. With that being said, it's time for us to jump into our NFL schedule breakdown, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. Taking a look at the NFL schedule, we're going to look at Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, break it all down so you can get a feel for all of it. So we're going to start things off with Thursday Night Football and the schedule of Thursday Night Football here. So Thursday Night Football, officially the Thursday Night Football, this is the thing that makes no sense. The first Thursday game opens the season, but it's the Sunday Night Football crew, because I believe it's on NBC. And so it's not considered like the week one, but it's a Thursday game, which is Denver at Kansas City. But they put that in the Sunday Night Football crew side of things. So just to make it, confusing for people, is what I would say. So that's kind of the first thing to start things off, is how confusing that is. But the Thursday Night Football schedule officially, so there is the Detroit at Kansas City game that opens the season. That game is being played on Thursday night, but it's considered part of Sunday Night Football's crew and NBC and all of that. It's not considered the Thursday Night Football group, but it is the first Thursday game. So that's, we're starting off with confusion because you would think it's Thursday Night Football because it's played on Thursday night, but it's being played on NBC at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, Detroit at Kansas City. So that's the first Thursday game. It's the first game of the season, but it doesn't count inside of the Thursday Night Football schedule. So it's just a weird thing, right? I mean, you would think Thursday night would go to Thursday Night Football because it is Thursday Night Football played on a Thursday night, but why should things make sense in today's world? So that's the confusion to start things off with as we look at this NFL schedule and start off with Thursday Night Football and looking at Thursday Night Football schedule. So Thursday Night Football schedule officially begins in week 2, just to confuse everybody. And taking a look at that, and so here's the thing. The first 4 games of Thursday Night Football schedule, not including Detroit at Kansas City because it's considered the Sunday Night crew, so taking that out, the first 4 games are all NFC games. The first 4 are all NFC if you take a look at that schedule.
Vikings at Eagles, Giants at Niners, Lions at Packers, Bears at Commanders. So the first 4 weeks of Thursday Night Football schedule, all NFC. We don't see the AFC until week 6, where the Broncos will take on the Chiefs in Kansas City. And then the first game that we're going to see of the mixing of the two conferences, AFC versus NFC, is going to be week 7, Jaguars at the Saints. So that's the first AFC-NFC game that we're going to see here. And then we have the battle of the trade for the number 1 overall pick. So the Chicago Bears had it. They traded it to the Carolina Panthers, who drafted their quarterback, Bryce Young, out of Alabama. The battle of the number 1 pick trade is going to happen in week 10 on November 9th when the Panthers visit the Bears in Chicago. And then the last one, and this is one that's kind of meh, the last Thursday Night Football game on the schedule is Week 17 on December 28th, 3 days after Christmas, where the Jets will go on the road to visit the Browns. Yuck. So, I mean, we'll see where the Jets are. People have, really high hopes for the Jets this year. Some people are drinking that Kool-Aid. My buddy Ross, who's on the show a lot here, fellow broadcaster and fellow writer, he is drinking the Kool-Aid, believes they can win a championship in year 1 with Aaron Rodgers. I think I'm interested to see what's going to happen, and my predictions will come as we get closer to the season. But I think that the AFC has more than enough quarterbacks to challenge Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I like Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I like Aaron Rodgers, the player. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, the weird. I like Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I like Aaron Rodgers, the player. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, the weird energy, and he brings some weird energy. So, there's definitely a difference between saying this guy's a really talented player and saying that, he's a drama queen, and I don't. And I like the talent. I'm all about the talent. I'm not all about the drama. I'm all about the bass, no treble. Is that how the song goes? But to see that last game be Jets at Browns, so underwhelming. And Thursday Night Football, this is the thing that they like to, they like to sneak on to Amazon Prime, which I think is such a, and this is no offense to Amazon Prime at all. I have no issues with Amazon. I like Amazon, right? But Amazon Prime, putting the game on there, I mean, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, because some people are not going to watch it because they're not going to buy Amazon Prime, and that's the reality of it all. That's the problem that you face. Now they think we got enough people on here that buy Amazon. I mean, for goodness sakes, there's an Amazon truck going by, my home pretty much daily. So, it's like it's a holiday. Amazon trucks are out. It's COVID. Amazon trucks are out. There's a giant snowstorm. Amazon trucks are out. So, it's not that people don't have Amazon, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of putting a game on, an app that you have to go out and buy on top of everything else, especially when it's the only game on television. And to, continue with that story as we look at the schedule for Thursday Night Football, one of these games that's considered part of the Thursday Night Football crew is the Black Friday game, which is Miami at the Jets. And you know how I feel about that. That game's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Black Friday. So people are either going to be shopping, I'm probably going to be eating another turkey sandwich. I'll do my show. I'm probably going to do some Black Friday shopping, going to have some turkey, and, now listen, and here's the thing, is you have to think about, who are we talking about? Because if you're talking about me, it's like, yeah, I'm going to try and watch all the games because it's what I do for a living, right? It's what I love. It's what I do for a living. It's part of my life. But if you're asking like the average fan, are they going to be watching this, middle of the day, tryptophan. I talked about this with Brendan Murphy and DT and Murphy, so I won't regurgitate, just to kind of sum it all up. Tryptophan, right? People are going to be sleepy, shopping, working. It's the middle of the day. It's the only game on television. It should be on at 8 o'clock. And the 3 p.m. is ridiculous. So I don't agree with it, but that's part of the Thursday Night Football schedule is a Black Friday game. As far as AFC and NFC, they equal each other out. They both are represented 14 times in Thursday Night Football, and this is how it breaks down by division. So by division, when we take a look at this schedule again, let me bring the schedule back up for you, and then we'll talk about some games that I'm circling specifically. But by division, the NFC North is represented 5 times. Every single one of their teams is represented in Thursday Night Football. In the NFC East, they're represented 4 times in Thursday Night Football. Every single one of their teams is playing. In the NFC West, they're represented 3 times in the schedule for Thursday Night Football, and the only team not represented in the NFC West in Thursday Night Football this season are the Arizona Cardinals. The AFC South is represented twice. They're represented the least of any division in Thursday Night Football, and the Texans and the Colts are not represented. There's one Jaguars game and one Titans game. In the NFC South, they're represented 4 times in Thursday Night Football for 2023-24, and the Falcons are not a part of that. So despite being represented 4 times, one of their teams is out there a couple times. The Falcons are not represented on Thursday Night Football this season. And then as far as the AFC East is represented 3 times. The Dolphins are the only team not represented for Thursday Night Football. And the AFC North is represented 5 times, which is the most next to the NFC North. So the AFC and NFC North are both inside of the Thursday Night Football schedule more than any other division, with 5 different slots for teams this season for them. So they're represented 5 times in every single one of their teams. So the AFC North and the NFC North getting the majority of the love in Thursday Night Football for 2023-24 in the NFL. And like I said, the teams that are not inside of Thursday Night Football at all, the Texans, the Colts, the Falcons, the Dolphins, and the Arizona Cardinals. So, just looking at 5 teams out of 32 that we will not see on Thursday Night Football. And that's how it breaks down. So as far as the games that I'm looking forward to, and I love doing this, by the way. Like, this is a lot of fun for me. I was listening to some NFL stuff yesterday. Totally different conversation, but, just breaking different things down. They were breaking down, teams specifically and doing grading systems and whatnot. Sirius XM, I do enjoy listening to it. So, you can check out NFL Radio. I thought it was good stuff. Outside of 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, of course. So, Monday through Friday, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You got to be here. But on Thursday Night Football, and I appreciate those that are, the games I'm looking forward to, Vikings and Eagles is interesting, right? It's intriguing. It's the first game that's the Thursday Night Football crew. It's not the first Thursday night game, as we talked about before. That's Detroit, Kansas City, which is opening up the season. But, which I'm excited to see that as well, because I want to see if Detroit's really going to, come with some fire this year. And Kansas City, many people anticipate, me included, that they're going back to the Super Bowl. So, the Vikings at the Eagles. I like this game because, again, we were talking about it earlier this week. Kirk Cousins still hanging on there as the starter, which I appreciate the work that he has done. Delvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and you bring in some help here. And with Jordan Addison, who I covered at Pitt, and then he went off to USC and then into the NFL. So, drafted this year. The Vikings are that team, like you're thinking, can they get over the hump? They're going to have that opportunity to showcase themselves right off the bat on Thursday Night Football in Week 2 on September 14th against the Eagles. The Eagles, fantastic team. I think they're another team that can get back to the Super Bowl, so I'm excited to see that. Other games that I circle here, Lions at Packers. The Packers are going to have, and you'll see it as we talk about, Thursday night now and then Sunday night, Monday night, and all that good stuff. The Packers have a lot of representation. This schedule, I was joking, Isaac and I were talking off the air, Isaac Elford, who does Tortora and Elford with me, and happy to work together, and more than anything else to have our friendship that I appreciate so very much. Isaac and I were discussing things, and he said they must think that Aaron Rodgers is still there with the amount of games that Green Bay is getting on primetime, but they're going to have that primetime game in Week 4 on Thursday Night Football, September 28th. I'm excited to see it because we're going to see a lot of Jordan Love. That's the beauty of this. Because the Packers have so many primetime games, you're going to get to know Jordan Love and really get a feel for him in this new era. I mean, you got to think about this. Green Bay fans have been spoiled. Brett Favre brought you to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers brought you to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. These are MVP caliber guys. Now you're going into Jordan Love. Now you're going to see what the team is going to look like with him. How does he command? How does he lead? You had really polarizing characters in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they literally took hold of the franchise, and for better or worse, they kind of had the reins. And now, we'll see what Jordan Love is going to do and what his era is going to look like. The Bears at the Commanders. Now, the Commanders, this is Isaac's team. I was talking with him about it yesterday. I said, it's hard to get excited for the Commanders because they're kind of that middle-of-the-road team. But now with Sam Howell, who I said, don't be surprised if he starts toward the end of the season, and he started toward the end of the season last season, drafted out of the Carolina Tar Heels. I covered him in college. I was under... to me, I wasn't... The hype didn't match his play, especially during the COVID season when Syracuse played them on the road. But I'm excited to see what Sam Howell can do. I thought he would eventually become the starter as a rookie at some point last season. He did. So to see him, Justin Fields on the other side for the Bears, God willing, and hopefully, this to me will be an interesting game to see. I don't think it's a marquee game for Thursday Night Football. To some people, it might be a yawner, but I'm hoping that this will be more than like a 13-7 game, but it could be. And I'm really excited about the Jaguars game, Week 7, 2 days before my birthday. They gave me an early birthday gift last year, and I have an early birthday gift this year. October 19th, they'll be playing. Jaguars will be on the road in New Orleans to play the Saints. I love the city of New Orleans. I did Hurricane Katrina relief there. And so there's a lot for this to me. My favorite team going to one of my favorite cities, and the Jaguars getting a Thursday Night Football game again. And I love that. And it's the first game that's going to feature the AFC versus the NFC. It's the first conference overlap game here where the conferences are facing each other, and it doesn't happen until Week 7. So the first time that the AFC will face the NFC this season in Thursday Night Football is going to be Jaguars at Saints. So I'm super pumped for that one. That's a road game that I'm kind of like, should I go? Because that game is on Thursday. My birthday's on Saturday. So, one of those thoughts. Bucks at Bills, I'm intrigued by this game because I'm intrigued by who's going to be, the guy under center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so this game brings some interest to me for sure as far as that goes because, I like Kyle Trask. I do. I've said it before. I thought it was great that they drafted him out of Florida and that he could learn under Tom Brady. And now John Walford, who I also covered in college, he was at Wake Forest, and he filled in pretty nicely at times for the Rams. He's there on the Bucs. Baker Mayfield is there. So whoever it is, it's a new face under center as the starter. Kyle Trask is the one that they know the best. And so that's interesting with him being such a young player, and in his rookie contract, he's the known face in Tampa because John Walford came in and Baker Mayfield came in as well. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this, but I'd love to see Kyle Trask get this. I think at some point he's going to be the starter on this team this season. I do. And I think some people might be pleasantly surprised by his play. So that's a game that I like, and of course it's the Bills, so that's something to look at as well. And then, on from there, I mentioned the Week 10 game, the battle of the number one pick, right? The Bears have to go up against, arguably, at that point in the season, November 9th, Week 10, they're going to have to go up against the Panthers' Bryce Young, who, they traded their pick with Carolina. So you got to go up against the guy that you traded your pick that they ended up selecting. So that'll be something fun to see. Bengals at Ravens, always, a great time. Week 11, that's November 16th that we'll see that. And then the Black Friday game, I think, is a great game. Just played at an awful time at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And outside of that, we'll see where the Cowboys are at. Week 13, November 30th. I think that could be a good game. It could be a marquee game. Seahawks have been playing well under Geno Smith. He proved me wrong. I love that. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see where the Cowboys are. I told you that within a couple of years, Tony Pollard was going to take over. And a couple of years later, Tony Pollard has taken over. And Zeke Elliott is not the guy anymore. So that prediction came to fruition. So it'll be nice to see the backfield of the Cowboys with that. But and then the last game, I'm not moved at all by Jets at Browns. there's a couple stinkers on here. Patriots get a lot of prime time for Bill Belichick. I for what other reason, I don't know. And also the Boston market. Okay, you want to bring those people in. So, you do it for the money. But I think you should do it for, the talent of the teams. But a lot of things in this world are done for money, and money is the root of all evil. So, I'm more about the matchups. Like Jets at Browns, that to me is as of right now, that's a throwaway game. Giants at Niners, we'll see how that goes. That could be a great game. That could be a throwaway game. Broncos at Chiefs. Are the Broncos really going to test the Chiefs in Week 6 for Thursday Night Football? That could be a throwaway game. But there are a bunch of good games in here, and we've discussed them. So that's a look at Thursday Night Football in my NFL schedule breakdown. So, a bunch of things here, a bunch of notes that I made. Once again, the most represented divisions in Thursday Night Football are both of the North divisions, ironically. The AFC North and the NFC North will be represented 5 times apiece. Every team represented from their conference, or from their division. Every team represented in the NFC East, every team in the AFC West, and then the NFC West, the Cards are not represented. In the AFC South, the Texans and the Colts are not represented. The NFC South, no Falcons. The AFC East, no Dolphins. So there's only 3 conferences, there's only 4 divisions. The NFC North, the NFC East, the AFC West, and the AFC North. So there's only 4 divisions that have every one of their 4 teams represented in Thursday Night Football. So half of the divisions, the other 4 do not, and the AFC and NFC North have the most representation. So something cool to see, and something exciting to see here, and so I'm excited to see what things are going to come from this, and like I said, some good games here in Thursday Night Football that I'm looking forward to. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll come back with Sunday and Monday night's breakdown of this upcoming NFL season right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general. I think, is really the secret sauce.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Break it down, the NFL schedule, and happy to do that with you. We just did Thursday Night Football, taking a look at what divisions were represented more than others, as well as those marquee games and special notes on what's coming up this season. We're going to do the same thing with Sunday night and Monday night football, and then we'll make some notes here as we go through, because every single one of the 32 NFL teams, as promised, will be mentioned in today's broadcast. They may have already been mentioned in today's broadcast. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we appreciate you being here. So we're going to flip to the Sunday night football schedule. And that Sunday night football schedule, as you see, picked up here. So a lot of great stuff coming up, and they do have the Detroit, Kansas City is the Sunday night football team, but the game's happening on Thursday. So, as I said with Thursday night football, to back away from the confusion of it all, I'm not putting it on here because it is the Sunday night crew, but it's still a Thursday night game. So I don't want to confuse anybody in how this thing looks like. But we look at some of these games now. Some notes here. The first is Dallas. The NFC starts things off here. Dallas at the Giants, a divisional game of the NFC East in Week 1 on September 10th. So the Giants get to play the night of September 10th, and the Jets get to play September 11th. So interesting there. They both get that opportunity to play their games around the Memorial time of September 11th. Because the Monday night football is at MetLife, Sunday night football is at MetLife. So the Giants get the home game on Sunday night, and the Jets get the home game on Monday night, and Buffalo is there. So all these teams connected to New York, even though the Jets and the Giants play in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where their stadium is, the fact that all three teams of New York connection are playing around the Memorial time of September 11th, I think is really special. So kudos to the NFL for doing that. And so our first game is NFC with Dallas and the Giants for Sunday Night Football. Our second game is all AFC, Miami at New England, which is Week 2 on September 17th, which is the birthday of my first two dogs, Mordu and Cinnamon. Happy birthday and God bless to them in heaven. And then the first non-divisional game is Week 3, Pitt at Vegas. So still in the AFC, but a non-divisional game. Pitt of the AFC North, Vegas of the AFC West, which is on September 24th. The AFC is 6-2 in representation to start off Sunday Night Football. So 6 teams to 2 teams, AFC over the NFC. So the AFC starts off with the majority of representation of those first few games, 6 teams to 2 teams, versus the NFC there. So the AFC comes out with more representation on Sunday Night Football. The first NFC versus AFC game is going to be the Giants at Buffalo, which is Week 6 on October 15th, right before my birthday. You see that on your screen here. So in Week 6, Giants at Buffalo will be the first, and we talk about all these teams playing around the Memorial time of September 11th, while the Giants will play at Buffalo for Sunday Night Football as the first NFC-AFC matchup of Sunday Night Football on October 15th in Week 6. So we look at this here, notable games. I love the Kansas City game, Kansas City Jets. I'm excited about that. If the Jets really are that good, right, we get to see Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes go up against each other in MetLife. So I think that could be a really good game on Sunday Night Football. That'll be played in Week 4 on October 1st. So excited about that. Excited to see that game. And here's a cool thing too. That's Ross's birthday. So Ross Turetsky, who I mentioned earlier before, Ross is a huge Jets fan. On his birthday, the Jets are playing Kansas City at the Jets, at MetLife, and he goes to games all the time. So I'm sure he'll be at that game for his birthday. Really excited about that. Dallas and San Fran, I like this game too, which is in Week 5. I like this Sunday Night Football matchup because San Fran has gotten Dallas's number a lot, and they used to be rivals more heavily. I remember in the 90s, guys like Charles Haley that played on both teams So I like that there's, I mean, I can't really call it a rivalry right now because San Fran's been winning it and Dallas has been losing, and it doesn't matter what their seeds are in the playoffs. San Fran's, bumped them out here a couple times. So I want to see if Dallas can get their number. They got to go on the West Coast to do it, but we'll see in that game. So, but I am excited to see that. And the game after my birthday, Dolphins at Eagles. We'll see where the Dolphins are. Eagles, exciting to watch this year, I believe. And, the Sunday Night Football thing. And then, Sunday Night Football's crew gets the Thanksgiving game. So they actually get to cover the rotator game, which is the Niners at the Seahawks. It's still played on Thursday night, but it's going to be by the Sunday Night Football crew, so it'll be on NBC. But San Fran at Seattle, do like that one. An intriguing game, Baltimore at the Chargers for Sunday Night Football in Week 12 on November 26th. So that's the weekend following Thanksgiving. This could be a really good game as well. I mean, you got Justin Herbert for the Chargers, you got Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, so that'll be a nice one to see. And, I mean, Philly, Dallas can always be a good one. Week 14, December 10th. So that's one that I have circled here. I obviously have Week 15 circled. Week 15, Sunday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, it's been forever and a day since they've been put on primetime this season. And I'm kind of giving a little spoiler alert for those of you that haven't checked out the, really broke it down the schedule, but we're breaking it down here on the show today. The fact that we're going to see the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and Monday Night Football. There are seasons where they were on none. And this season, they're on all, which is very exciting for yours truly, a Jaguars fan. So Baltimore, and it's given me something, right? I got a Thursday Night Football game that's on the road, Jacksonville at Saints, but the Sunday night and the Monday night are at home. And so I have the opportunity to go to Jacksonville, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. They rotated them into a Saturday night game that was supposed to be a Saturday day game last year. So I did get a nighttime game. But to get the Sunday Night Football crew and the Monday Night Football crew in Jacksonville at TIAA Bank Field, I'm ecstatic. So December 17th, 2 days after G-Mama's birthday in heaven. God bless her. Love you, G, and I miss you. Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 days after G-Mama's birthday in heaven, Week 15. That game will be played in Jacksonville on December 17th, and I intend to be there by the grace of God. So, and then, we're looking at, then there's a Peacock exclusive game. So NBC is going to put that game there, so you're not going to be able to watch it unless you have a Peacock subscription, from what I'm understanding here. That's Buffalo at the Chargers on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And then on New Year's Eve, we have Green Bay, Minnesota. Always a good game inside of the NFC North, but we'll see this year. You got Kirk Cousins versus Jordan Love. A little bit different here. And, how are the receivers and the running backs? How are they going to perform with Jordan Love under center now? What are the defenses going to do? Is there going to be defense? Minnesota, we know they can score. So, is Green Bay going to be able to keep up in the game? Will be a question mark here, but that's going to be the New Year's Eve game on my dad's birthday, Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, Minnesota. So that's one that I'm circling and excited about, and we're going to talk more about how this breaks down by division right after this fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvel Ice. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvelange, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant is different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here inside of a fantastic week, mid-May. Happy to be here with you, breaking down the NFL schedule, taking a look at all these prime time games, and love getting your thoughts on it. So a lot of great stuff coming up here, and always appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. So we're going back to Sunday Night Football here, breaking it down by division. And so this is a little bit different, than the Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football, we saw a bunch of divisions have, four or more times they're represented, be it, a team more than once or whatever that may be. Now, in Sunday Night Football, this one's different. So the AFC North is represented 5 times in Sunday Night Football this season for 2023-24, but the Browns are not represented. The AFC South is represented 1 time. Only the Jaguars have a Monday Night Football game, that Baltimore at Jacksonville game I talked about in Week 15 on December 17th. The Texans, Titans, and Colts are not represented. So not only do we almost never see the Jaguars on Sunday Night Football, they're the only representation for the entire AFC South, which makes it even more cool and even more awesome. The AFC East is represented 7 times on Sunday Night Football, 7 times represented. Every single team is represented. We got Miami, New England, they're going up against each other in Week 2. Then in Week 4, the Jets will take on the Chiefs. So that's another representation for the AFC East. Then you have Dolphins against the Eagles. So on the road, the Dolphins give you the 4th time that the division is going to be represented. Then in Week 9, Buffalo goes to Kansas City, so that's the 5th. Following that in Week 10, you have the Jets. So that's going on the road at the Raiders. And then after that, you're going to see the Buffalo Bills take on the Chargers on the road. And so that gives you the 7th. So 7 times the AFC East is represented here. Every single one of their teams represented. And then the AFC West, so AFC East represented 7 times. The AFC West also represented 7 times. And so this is definitely the AFC West. They have everybody here. So you take a look at the AFC West, and you got the Raiders at home against the Steelers in Week 3. And then you have the Kansas City Chiefs, like I said, against the Jets on the road in Week 4. And then from there, so that's your first 2. Then you have in Week 8, the Chargers will host the Bears. And then from there, you have the Raiders hosting the Jets in Week 10. The Broncos hosting the Vikings in Week 11. So that's 5 that you have. Then the Chargers will host the Ravens on Sunday Night Football in Week 12. Kansas City at Green Bay in week 13. So that's your 7 here. And actually, no, there's 8 because you have the Buffalo Bills, Chargers. So they have 8, pardon me on that one. So 8 times the AFC West is going to be represented in Sunday Night Football this year. So 8 to lead all divisions, 8 times being represented. And they have the Chargers in it, of course, the Chiefs. They have the Raiders. And, and the thing about the Denver Broncos is, good, bad, or indifferent, they're represented. So you got every one of the AFC West teams represented here, and 8 times they will be in Sunday Night Football. The NFC North is represented 5 times, but there's no Detroit Lions game on Sunday Night Football as of now, outside of that opener that's on Thursday night that's considered a Sunday Night Football crew game. NFC East has 7 representation pieces here in Sunday Night Football for 2023-24. No Commanders, but 7 times represented. The NFC West is only represented 3 times. There's no Rams or Cardinals. So the NFC West represented 3 times, with the Niners taking 2 of those games, and then Seattle taking 1. And then if you add in the Thanksgiving game, which is, again, played on Thursday, but it's going to be with the Sunday Night Football crew, if you were to count that game, that's another 2, but I'm counting it by day. And Sunday Night Football played on Sunday night, there's 3 for the NFC West, and half of their division not represented, with the Rams and the Cardinals not getting a Sunday Night Football game at all this season. So San Fran is in week 5 hosting Dallas, so they have that first one there, and then from there we will see San Fran and actually, so I counted it on that Thanksgiving game. So outside of that, I think they only have 1 here as I go through and take a double, another fine-tooth comb here moment. So yeah, if you don't count the Thanksgiving game, they only have 1 representing. They only have 1 team representing in Sunday Night Football that's played on Sunday night, and that's the San Francisco 49ers in week 4 when they host the Cowboys, or pardon me, week 5 when they host the Cowboys. So there's only technically 1 time that they're in here. No Rams, no Cardinals, or Seahawks. But the Thanksgiving rotation game is the one that I had originally counted here. 49ers at Seahawks. So that's by the NBC crew, but a game played on Sunday night. The NFC West only has 1, which is in week 5, Dallas at San Fran. So think about this. So you look at Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football different here in the breakdown by division as far as the divide in some of these. The NFC West getting 1 representative on Sunday Night Football, the NFC East getting 7, the NFC South getting none. No team in the NFC South is playing Sunday Night Football. None of them. There's no Carolina game. There's no Tampa Bay game. There's no Saints game. For New Orleans, there's no Atlanta game. So that's something to look to, that the NFC South is not represented at all. In Thursday Night Football, every division is represented. Sunday Night Football, unless they rotate a game in, the NFC South is not represented 1 time in the NFL schedule for Sunday Night Football in 2023-24. NFC North is 5. AFC West is 8. AFC East is 7. So there's a heavy side of the AFC there, and in the East and West divisions. The AFC South, only 1 team represented in Sunday Night Football, Jacksonville, at home against Baltimore, and the AFC North represented 5 times. So the AFC West, Denver gets it, Kansas City gets a couple, the Chargers get a couple, the Raiders are in there. So, the AFC West getting a lot of love. 8 different times they're represented in Sunday Night Football, and when you go back to the Thursday Night Football, represented 4 times, and every one of their teams represented, and only behind the AFC North and the NFC North, who have 5. So, and then the AFC West leads. So they come in second in representation in Thursday Night Football this season, and first in Sunday Night Football, with 8 times they're being represented. 8 times. That's crazy. Going through that again. I mean, you look at the Raiders, and it's back to back. Week 3, week 4. So you got Raiders, you got the Raiders at home, Chiefs on the road. Then you know, you go down the schedule and you got the Chargers at home, then you have the Raiders at home, then you have the Broncos at home, and so that's 3 out of 4 weeks there. Week 8, 10, and 11. Not only are we seeing the AFC West in Sunday Night Football, but they're all home in those games. Chargers at home, Raiders at home, Broncos at home. So you got those, then you got the Chargers at home again, then you got the Chiefs on the road, and then later on you got the Chargers at home in the Peacock exclusive on December 23rd in week 16. So, I mean, that's crazy. 8 times we're going to see the AFC West in Sunday Night Football this season. So, you know, AFC West getting a lot of love, AFC East getting a lot of love, and in Thursday Night Football, the North Divisions, to go back to that for a second, leading. So, Sunday Night Football, little bit different here. No NFC South teams, only one AFC South. So the South Division of 8 teams combined, those 2 South divisions in the NFL, the AFC South and the NFC South, of those 2 divisions, 8 teams in total, one of them is representing the South in the NFL this season, and it's Jacksonville. Who would have thunk it? I don't think anybody would have put money on the Jacksonville Jaguars representing every team of both divisions combined in the AFC and NFC South being the only team in Sunday Night Football for this upcoming season. I don't think anybody would have projected that. So that's definitely interesting. Taking a look at Monday Night Football now, the Monday Night Football schedule, which will officially start on September 11th. Representation by the AFC and the NFC is the same. They both have 20 times that they're represented here. Divisionally, we'll get into that in a second. Now, the AFC starts this one with the Bills at the Jets, and we talked about that, you know, remembering September 11th. We said as a country we would never forget. I feel like we have. This is a time for us to remember. So, September 11th, week 1, Buffalo at the Jets. Excited that we're going to be able to watch this game. This isn't a game that's exclusive to an app. So, I mean, and it's no offense to the apps. I understand. Make your money, do your thing. I have apps for the show. Mine are free, though. And, you know, it's just, it's ridiculous with all this subscription stuff. But I'm happy that we'll be able to go to ESPN, watch Buffalo at the New York Jets on September 11th in week 1. The first 3 Monday Night Football games are divisional games. Bills at the Jets, which is the AFC East. Saints at the Panthers, NFC South, which wasn't represented at all in Sunday Night Football, as I mentioned. And in week 2 has a doubleheader, Browns at Steelers. So the first 3 Monday Night Football games are divisional games. The first week, Bills at Jets, AFC East. The second week, a doubleheader, Saints at Panthers, NFC South, and Browns at Steelers, AFC North. In week 3, we see the Eagles at the Buccaneers. This is the first non-divisional game, and it's still featuring 2 teams from the NFC East, Eagles, and the NFC South, Buccaneers. So that's the first non-divisional game, but it stays in the NFC. And the doubleheader continues here. So Monday Night Football has, and this is the weird thing about the doubleheader, they used to start one game like 2-3 hours after the next. They would start one at like 8 o'clock, one at 10 o'clock. These games are starting at almost the same time. So they're going to be played simultaneously. And I think it's like 7:15 and 8:15 is what we're looking at for the starts of these games. So Monday Night Football in week 2, to take a look at that, New Orleans at Carolina starts at 7:15 p.m. on ESPN. Cleveland at Pittsburgh starts at 8:15 p.m. on ABC Eastern Time. So obviously Disney owns ESPN and ABC, so Disney's making all of the money, whichever football game you're watching, and if you flip between the two, they're making both. And I think they're hoping a lot of people will flip back and forth so their numbers will count, so that household will count twice, essentially, watching 2 different games. So, you know, Disney is not stupid, and not only do they have a Monday night doubleheader, but they're playing those games on both of their channels. So that's something to see here. And if you look at week 3 for Monday Night Football, that's also a doubleheader, and it's the same thing, 7:15 and 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, but they flip-flop. The ABC gets the earlier game this time, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Philadelphia at Tampa, which is the first non-divisional game of Monday Night Football for 2023-24. And that's the NFC East, as I said, Philadelphia, the NFC South, Tampa. The first NFC-AFC game is also going to be that night, So the first time we see the two conferences go against each other, the NFC and AFC will face off in the Los Angeles Rams at Cincinnati Bengals game, which will be part of the doubleheader on Week 3 for Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Rams at Bengals will be our first NFC-AFC matchup. And then to look at the schedule here a little bit later on, we will see in the season the rematch of the title game, which will be in Week 11 on Monday, November 20th. The Eagles at the Chiefs will be a rematch of the NFL's title game that the Chiefs won over the Eagles to end this past season. So we'll see that rematch on Monday Night Football, as it should be, in a prime time. So a Super Bowl game there. And I say it should be because it's prime time and it's the last game of that week. So Week 11, Monday, November 20th, Eagles at Chiefs. You should circle that one for sure. And the last game is Detroit at Dallas on December 30th. Or pardon me, it says on Monday, January 1st. So that's my mistake on there. Week 17, the final game there, we're going to see on January 1st. So there is a Monday Night Football game, the final. So Week 17, there's 18 weeks, but we don't have Monday Night Football in that. We don't have Monday Night Football in Week 18, the final week of the season. We don't have it. So this is going to be January 1st of 2024. So believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying 2024. But Week 17, the final Monday Night Football game, will be played on New Year's Day. And that's Lions at Cowboys. And then the week before that, Christmas Day, we'll get Ravens at 49ers. So holiday games back-to-back because of when Christmas falls this year. So on Christmas Day, Monday Night Football will be on, Ravens at Niners. And on New Year's Day, Monday Night Football, Lions at Cowboys. So there you go for that. Jacksonville, as I mentioned before, they get a Monday night game this season. Cincinnati at Jacksonville on December 4th. So very excited about that. So on December 4th, they get the Monday night game. The whole world will be watching on ESPN. Week 13, my grandfather's lucky number. So here's the funny thing about how things work out and how cool my life is and how my grandfathers and family in general show themselves from heaven and beyond. Yesterday was the NBA draft lottery. Toronto Raptors, Jacksonville Jaguars, both favorite teams of mine, both came into their leagues in 1995, both connected to the number 13 for my grandfather. Jaguars got 13th overall pick in the lottery for this upcoming draft in 2023, and the Jaguars got Monday Night Football in the 13th week. So hopefully, I mean, when it comes to my grandpa and the number 13, it's always good energy. So Toronto, 13th overall pick. Shout out to my Pop Cavino. And the Jaguars, Monday Night Football for the first time in forever. And Week 13 is when they're going to be playing, Monday, December 4th. And it's going to be Joe Burrow. Huge game. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. The two of the upcoming giant quarterback contracts, I would say. Don't be surprised, as I said, not guaranteed money, but if the contract for Joe Burrow reads $290 million in total, and then if Trevor Lawrence's is close to $300 or somewhere around that. But I see Joe Burrow in the $290, so we shall see. But we could see Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Monday Night Football, and God willing, I will be there for that game as well, covering the Jaguars on site, on location for the majority of the last. This is year 13 because I started covering them on site in 2010, and it's 2023. So yeah, 13 year and okay, there's a 13 again. 13 three times. So Raptors 13th overall pick in the lottery. Week 13 Monday Night Football. 13th season of me covering the Jaguars on site, on location for the majority of that. So just saying, I see you, Pop, and I appreciate you and I love you. So Jaguars Monday night, I'm ecstatic about that. Obviously, that's a big thing for me to circle here. You know, before I get into breaking it down by division, while I have the board up here for the schedule, Monday Night Football, while we're talking about it on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, in the schedule breakdown for 2023-24. The games I have circled, obviously September 11th, Bills at Jets. That's one that I definitely have on here. Rams at Bengals. I'm intrigued because I want to see what the Rams look like this year. So I can say that I'm intrigued by that game somewhat. And that game is going to be week 3 in the doubleheader. That's the first NFC AFC game, as I mentioned before, on Monday, September 25th. Other games I'm looking at here, not really excited about the Packers at Raiders game on October 9th for Monday Night Football. 49ers at Vikings, that's not one that jumps out to me. That's right after my birthday, and that'll be on October 23rd. Raiders at Lions, another one. Raiders are all over Thursday, Sunday, and Monday Night Football. I mean, it's crazy the amount of times they're being represented, and they have an away game and a home game on Monday Night Football this season. Chargers at Jets, that's somewhat intriguing. You know, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Monday, November 6th. That's one I'm looking at. Obviously, the rematch of the title game, Eagles at Chiefs on November 20th in Week 11. The Jaguars game, as I mentioned, and God willing, I will be there for that game. And outside of that, I mean, there's not a ton here. I think there's better games on Sunday Night Football. And, yeah, I mean, I think to me there's better games on Sunday Night Football here. The Monday Nighters, some of these you don't really stay up for, right? Packers at Giants, Titans at Dolphins. They're okay. Not they're all right, but it's not a fantastic schedule, but there is a lot of things to be excited about. I'm excited about the Jacksonville. If that was the only Monday night game, I'm good with it. So, divisionally, this is how it breaks down for Monday Night Football this season in the NFL schedule. The NFC North is represented 7 times. The NFC South is represented 3 times. The NFC East is represented 6 times. The NFC West is represented 4 times. The AFC North represented 5 times. The AFC South twice, Jaguars and Titans, just like Thursday Night Football. And in the AFC East, they're represented 6 times. The AFC West is represented 7 times. So the AFC West getting a ton of love on Sunday Night Football, being represented 8 times. On Monday Night Football, being represented 7 times. On Thursday Night Football, being represented 4 times. And in every single case, you look at what they have, and I mean, you think about it. The entire, you expect the Chiefs, but the Raiders, like I said, getting a ton of love. The Chargers getting love, and even the Broncos are getting love in this, and the Broncos are on all of them. So every team is represented. So not only is the AFC getting the most representation, and you think, okay, well, what are the Chiefs playing 2 or 3 times? The Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders are all on Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday Night Football. They're playing on all of them this year. Every single one of them. So it's not just the Chiefs or the Chargers leading the way. We're going to see the Raiders, and we're going to see the Broncos. We're going to see the Broncos on Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football, folks. So, get to know it and get to understand it. And, the teams that we're not going to see, again, to kind of follow the leader here in what we've talked about before here. There's certain teams we're not going to see on Monday Night Football. So we're not going to see the Falcons. We're not going to see the Texans, as I mentioned. We're not going to see the Colts as of right now. Right. So this is all as of right now. We're not going to see the Falcons, the Texans, the Colts. We're not going to see the Cardinals on any of these. We will see the Rams. So the Rams are, back in the thick of things here. On Monday night, we will see the Seahawks. So we're going to see the 49ers and all that. So there's some teams that will be represented, but no Falcons, no Texans, no Colts, no Cardinals. And the Cleveland Browns will also not be. Oh, pardon me, they are on Monday night. They're in week 2, what I had mentioned before. So there's only a few teams that are not going to be mentioned here. You can put them on one hand. No Falcons on Monday night, no Texans, no Colts, no Cardinals on Monday Night Football. So Monday Night Football having a few more that are going to be represented here, which is, it's good to see. And it'll be interesting here. I mean, the Texans, the Colts, the Cardinals, and the Falcons across the board not getting a lot of love. The Dolphins are not on Thursday night, but they are on, Monday Night Football, and they're also on Sunday Night Football. So the Lions, not on Sunday night. The Sunday Night Crew will do the opener game on Thursday, but they're not having a traditional Sunday night game, so no Lions. That's a little surprising. No Commanders for Sunday Night Football, as I mentioned before. In the NFC West for Sunday Night Football on Sunday night, no Rams, no Cardinals, no Seahawks, only the Niners there. So there are a bunch of teams not getting love, but truly across the board for Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday Night Football, the teams that are getting no love amongst all of these have been the Texans, the Colts, the Cardinals, and the Falcons that have not received much love here. Now, as far as, and then the other team to mention here that we're not going to see on Monday Night Football is the Commanders. So I do want to make sure I didn't miss that. So the Commanders do have a little bit of love. They are on Thursday Night Football, so we will see them on Thursday Night Football, but we will not see them on Sunday night, and we will not see them on Monday night. So they do get a Thursday game, but the Commanders will not get a Sunday night game, and they will not get a Monday night game here this season. So the Commanders not getting that love. So yeah, Falcons, Texans, Colts, Cardinals, Commanders, kind of in the purgatory right now of the NFL as the schedule currently stands here. So that is a breakdown of the NFL schedule of, the entire NFL this season, and I believe I mentioned every single team. I said I wasn't going to leave anybody out. I have not. So 32 teams mentioned in our NFL schedule breakdown. We talked about some holiday games on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on New Year's Eve, and we also discussed, we discussed Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, the holiday games, and every team, and the teams that are not getting any love across the board. So that is a full breakdown of the NFL schedule. Did everything as we promised, because that's what I'm about here. I'm about keeping my promises on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And so we're going to take our final fast break, and we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of this wonderful week that we have for you. So happy to be here and always thankful every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time that you spend time with me celebrating something that I love. So, I get to live my dreams every day, do what I love and love what I do. And the fact that you're here for that means a lot to me. So tell your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to come on over to Wake Up Call Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We are worldwide, so you're here in Central and Upstate New York, our second home of Florida, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and around the globe. We've had listeners and viewers in the United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, China, Russia, Mexico, Canada, and so on and so forth. So thank you wherever you are. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com worldwide. Once we go live, you can go and check us out. So if you can't listen to us live, you can always go back to our archives and find us. I edit and put up the episodes as well. I'll be airing a bunch of stuff coming up soon here on our channels that you're looking at on the screen right now. So you can find us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as on MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to our incredible partners that help to make our experience here in the community so much greater and reach so many more people and connect with wonderful business owners who do more than sell products and services. They care. My team is strong, and there's a reason why many of us have been together so long. Carvel and I for over a decade. The Wildcat Sports Pub approaching a decade. Great Lakes Honda City right there with the decade. As well as, Chick-fil-A Cicero since they opened. We started working with them when they opened. Chick-fil-A Clay when they opened. PB&J's Lunchbox when they opened. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding for many years now. Pizza Man, we're in year 3. 317 at Montgomery. We've been working with them. This is our first year with them, and it's been like we've had them forever. Amon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, multiple years. Avicoli's in year 3. Mother's Cupboard in year 2, and I have an exclusive breakfast sandwich there you can get today or any day, which is the Cuse McMother, and you can get that at Mother's Cupboard at 3709 James Street, 3709 James Street, Syracuse, New York. You can ask for the Cuse McMother. When you walk in and you look up at the specials and everything that's up there, my board is there 24/7, the Cuse McMother. You can look right up there, see the board, see my face, see information for the show, and see the giant picture of the sandwich. You can try the Cuse McMother exclusively at Mother's Cupboard. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. You can pick it up and eat it like a breakfast sandwich, or cut it up with syrup and have it that way as well. Chick-fil-A Watertown, we've been with them since they opened. So, our partnerships are strong. We have the exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College. It's the first partnership of its kind that LeMoyne College has ever signed in its history as an institution. Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse were their exclusive multimedia marketing partner. The first time that they have signed anything of this magnitude ever in their history at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. So this team, as you can hear from my connections to all of them, our squad is strong, and we have a beautiful connection to all of them and the wonderful people. Carvel DeWitt, Jay Cartini, Wildcat Sports Pub, Danny and Heather Tome, Andrea and the entire team over there, PB&J's Lunchbox, Pat and Sue, Mother's Cupboard, Pete, Amy, and the crew, Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Lorraine, Chad, and their team, LeMoyne, Dr. Linda Lemura, the president, AD Bob Beretta, the chair of the Board of Trustees, Pete DeLora, as well as their coaches, their student athletes, their alumni, their current Dolphins, their future Dolphins. So many great people there. as well as the Board of Trustees in general. Pizza Man, the Delia family, Great Lakes Honda City, Brad Townsend, and George Townsend and their family, and Manny, God bless him in heaven, that's obviously had worked there for many years. 317 at Montgomery, Natalie and Joel. To Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, Mary and Nick and Alex and Clay and Tay and Brian and Sean and Amy and so on and so forth. You look at Chick-fil-A Watertown and their wonderful family, Owen and Merritt and Catherine, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Chick-fil-A Clay, Betty and Jimmer and their teams, Ma and Paz, James and Angela, JoJo and the whole squad there. I mean, these are Avicoli's, John and Nick and everybody at Avicoli's and that wonderful team of hardworking people. And John, this is a guy who runs the restaurant and is out there cooking and meeting people and running things out. I mean, he's doing 17 things every day, all the time, and he's great at it. So, this isn't just a bunch of businesses that we work with. These are partners. That's why they're not called sponsors, because we work together. I mean, I'm not looking at a sheet of paper right now, and I just named off the people that are behind the scenes and in front of the scenes at all these places. Why? Because it's easy to do. Why? Because I care about them. Because they're different. Because they're special. And we build this really strong team, and I love the team that I have. And speaking of teams, as I said before, the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusive with LeMoyne College and your Dolphins. AD and DT comes to you every first and third Wednesday of each month, including today, where you got to hear from Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, on Division I, the move forward, the plan going forward with scheduling, staffing, recruiting, scholarships, and looking at potentially adding some sports. All of that was covered in today's show and more, straight from the heart. You don't want to miss it. We're going to air it as its own special today as well, so you can go back and watch it. Dolphin Dive, second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring the fantastic coaches, student athletes, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni of LeMoyne College. And you can check out all of our content by going to the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt as well. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You can check out their coaches, administration, and student athletes every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We just did an unprecedented, awesome panel to introduce the new campus director, Mary Hawkins, and have her get to know all of the coaches and them get to know her as well on screen together in the moment. It was literally all in the moment that Mary was getting to know the coaches getting to know her, them getting to know me as well, and Mary and I get to know each other. It was a giant icebreaker, unprecedented, and it was one of the most rewarding and fun things that I've done, not just with Bryan and Stratton, but in general. A fantastic time. Makes me feel like part of the Bobcat family, which I know I am, and I thank everybody at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse for bringing me in and welcoming me in and treating me like a Bobcat. I love that, and I appreciate that. All of our Bobcat Buzz specials, BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com is where you're going to find them, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Remember to click subscribe when you're on our YouTube channel, and for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. With that being said, I want to thank Bob Beretta for another fantastic edition of AD and DT. And I want to thank the NFL for putting together an interesting schedule and breaking it down here. I like to do shows that make me want to go back and listen. Like if I wasn't the broadcaster, I would want to go back and hear the information. And breaking it down the way we did Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, holiday games, by division, who's getting representation, what teams are not getting representation, what are those marquee games that I'm circling, when is who starts it off, the AFC or the NFC, When do we see the non-divisional game? When do we see the crossover between the AFC and the NFC? All of that information is available to you through this one show. So share it with your friends, family, coworkers, colleagues, and neighbors. So big shout out to the NFL for putting together the schedule. I'm excited about it. Big shout out for the Jaguars being on Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night football. I got some work to do, and I'm excited about that by the grace of God. So with all that being said, find us on social media. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And we're not done today. I will see you tonight at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We will have the West Genesee Wildcats softball team with head coach Jim Cicerelli and student athletes sitting with me on stage on the couches doing a live broadcast right here on Facebook.com and YouTube.com /Wake Up Call DT. So tonight, come and grab dinner, some drinks, drink responsibly, but come grab some dinner and drinks, hang out with the West Genesee softball team and me on site at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Today, Wednesday, May 17th at 6 o'clock. We'll see you there. So find us on our social media. And as always, folks, God bless, no stress,